Hello, everyone. We have with us today the pioneering duo of law firm management consultancy, Bithika Anand and Nipun Bhatia. They're the face of India's first law firm management consultancy that goes by the name Legal Lee Consulting. Bithika Anand is a well-reckoned name in the legal sector. She is the founder and CEO of Legal Lee Consulting and is also the principal India at Edge International, one of the three most used consultants to large law firms in the US. Nippon Bhatia is President, Strategic Legal Management at Legal Lee Consulting, a qualified lawyer and a chartered accountant. Nipun Bhatia has been a pioneer in the area of law firm management, legal practice management, strategic advisory, and counseling to legal professionals, including managing partners, founders, partners, and young lawyers. He was recently recognized by the Forbes Legal Power List 2021 as being among India's top 16 law firm management professionals. Welcome to the interview series by Bar and Bench. It's a pleasure to have both of you on board. So if I may jump straight into the first question by asking probably Bithika, what prompted the idea of setting up a law firm management consultancy?
Okay. I still remember maybe many years back when I just was completing 11 years in Amarchand. I wondered, that this is all I have to do, or there is something else in my life I need to do. And that time when I was thinking about this whole change, this thought came to me that I think whatever I did in Amarchand, and I was their CFO and CEO, so I covered all areas, of management. Then I thought that why not replicate the same thing for other law firms in India? And I also found out that there was no such, organization who did that. And the idea also came from, knowing Karma Partners, Edge International, because these organizations were there in USA and in Europe and all, but we didn't have it in India. So I thought it would be a good idea. It was totally non-tested, nothing. I just left and just started it. Of course, there were challenges, very interesting journey also, everything. And that was the main reason. I actually felt that I could help a lot of law firms grow to the next level, manage their things better, become more efficient, proactive. I mean, there's so much. And as we go along, I think today we will be discussing that, how important is law firm management to law firms. So I thought I could contribute that way to the law firms.
Got it. Very interesting. So if I may go on and ask, how has the journey of Legal Lee Consulting been so far? And like you mentioned, there were a couple of challenges. So what exactly were the challenges that came with setting up a first of its kind consultancy firm in India?
Yeah, the first and the foremost challenge we had was that when we started it, so when I went to meet the managing partners of various law firms, the first question they said that, you will be working for so many law firms. So where is the confidentiality? How can we trust you? You'll be meeting. So then I had to tell them, like, the way they do their work also. So they also work with, sometimes it's conflicting to work with two organizations and two corporates, but they manage that, and they keep their, confidentiality and all that. So as the same way, I will also do it because I'm also a professional, like a lawyer, So that was the first and the foremost. So it took them some time. And the second challenge was that they didn't know whether what we were offering, what we were planning to do for the firm is actually going to assist the firm or grow the firm or, in any way benefit the firm. I think they didn't realize it because this was never done in India before. So I think biggest two challenges were these. And the third challenge was that, I didn't have too many people who did this. So to be able to service the clients and firms, and it was difficult because there were not people who were kind of, who had experience in this kind of work, So that was the third challenge. Of course, there were many other also, but I would just pick on these three challenges.
Got it. Nipun, do you have anything to add to this?
I think she mentioned it pretty beautifully. I think that the confidentiality aspect was definitely a little difficult for us to convince them at the beginning. But once we've had a successful run for close to 12 years now, so that kind of speaks for itself. The amount of work we have done for so many organizations, I think the ethics, the integrity, the confidentiality is something that LLC stands by. And as more and more people saw the kind of work that we did and our commitment to upholding the confidentiality bit, I think the trust factor increased manifold, and people started, engaging this more and more. So from a stage where we had to go and convince people to give us work, to a stage where almost every day Bithika and I are discussing and closing some mandates. So I think we've come a pretty long way from that side.
Got it. Got it. So following up from the same question, being the pioneers in this space, how did you go about actually making a name for yourself and earning the trust of firms? Like from the beginning, like you mentioned, right from the beginning, how did you actually go about this process to
So
eventually get to
Jelsyna,
that?
yes. So I think we were pretty clear, as I mentioned, the commitment with respect to confidentiality was something that we stood by from day one. So in order to give comforts to the client, we have signed non-disclosure agreements with all our clients. All the people who work within LLC also sign non-disclosure agreements so that clients' confidentiality is taken utmost care of. Also, we have our ethics policies and our standard operating procedures. So none of our team members discuss about client issues in open. They're not supposed to discuss about client personalities. They're not supposed to discuss any sensitive entry, exit, anything that's happening at a client place. So even when we meet and discuss offline any of the LLC outings, it's mostly with respect to our personal lives. Whatever we do in our personal domain doesn't never percolates to our personal lives. That's point number one. Also, when this is a challenge a lot of law firms also face, that youngsters stay in clusters. Sometimes they are roommates working for different law firms. Sometimes they are, a very close-knit friend circle. So at LLC, we kind of sensitize everyone that they're not supposed to be discussing anything that's happening, because we are privy to a lot of happening information, what's happening inside the law firms. So as a policy, the people working for LLC never discuss anything which is client sensitive, and that's with demonstration of this ethic over a period of time is when we've been able to gain that level of trust. So there could be times when law firms we are working for, the partners over there are very good friends. They may be talking about what's happening. They may be talking that they are working with legally consulting. Sometimes the two law firms also don't even know that they're working with us, because we maintain absolute Chinese walls with respect to what's happening. So a person working on a client does not discuss anything what's happening with another person who may or may not be working for another firm of the similar competition. So I think we've been able to uphold that bit very strongly for close to 12 years now.
Right. Amazing. So, does the fact that both of you are chartered accountants by qualification give you an advantage when it comes to law firm management?
Yeah, so I'll just say one line and then I'll ask Nipun to carry on with it. See, let me tell you, I have discovered that if you have financial knowledge, you see, it really helps your management contribution or whatever in the management side you're doing for the, because if you are not financially attuned, your, whatever you are telling them to do, it is not vetted financially. It doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. So I think financial knowledge, whether you are CA, whether you are CFA, or whether you've done a course, always helps. Otherwise, just giving them, telling them that you need to do this in a form where there is no financials attached to it, I think nobody buys it. And this is not applicable to only law firms. I think it's very much applicable to other corporates also who use consultants to help them, grow or help them improve things in their organization. Yeah, so I'll now ask.
Yeah, so I think the chartered accountancy course itself, Jelsyna, prepares you financially very sound. I mean, to conduct analysis, to conduct pie charts, those bar graphs, those projections, extrapolations. So we are trained to do that. I think what the gap that Bithika and I have been able to fulfill is the fact that a lot of information is residing within law firms. Their accounts department knows what's happening. Their accounts department knows what the turnover has been for last 4 years, 5 years. But when we come into the picture, we force founders, managing partners to think financially. We show them graphs. We show them how the trend has been, what kind of projections they can make, how should they be making their budgets, how should they be dividing their growth plan with respect to partner-wise growth or practice area-wise growth or geography-wise growth. So I think coming back to the question that you put, as chartered accountants, we are trained to project, we are trained to play with numbers, and that has added a huge value, because a lot of times when Bithika and I are in meetings and the managing, and we show them graphs and we show them the trend analysis, and the partners go like, wow, we knew that this is happening, but when you see that in front of your eyes, the decision making is quicker, the decision making is more informed. Otherwise you're always kind of relying on your memory that, oh, I know I would be growing, say, about at a rate of 15%, 20%. But when you see that there was a period of time where you had the potential to grow up to 30%, 40%, and you're stuck to 15%. So, we kind of force them to think on their feet. We also force them to sharpen their brain from a very number perspective. At the end of the day, when we call ourselves law firm management consultants, we want them to run a profitable practice. We want them to run a healthy practice, not just profitable, a financially healthy practice that also takes care of their bandwidth, their resources. But at the same time, it's not just a social concern. It has to have a financial health for it to sustain, for it to pay its people well. So I think that is the gap that we have been able to fulfill being the chartered accountants.
So one more thing I would like to add is also very important, is that financial or number crunching is the most tangible way to find out, where you are going. The most tangible way. You may talk and talk and talk that, oh, you can do this, you can do that, you can do that. But I think the number crunching, and what Nipun has said is very correct, is the number crunching and financials actually become very tangible way of explaining your point of view. Very tangible way of explaining.
Right, got it. So moving on, what is the vision of legally consulting for the upcoming decade and beyond?
I think I'll start off and I'll ask Nipun to continue on this. According to me, the next 10 years or a decade for legally consulting is to keep innovating and keep innovating new services, new products with the upcoming evolution of the law firms. Very, very important, because see, all the law firms evolve, and interestingly, they evolve in a very different way. There is no criteria or strict this thing, okay, like in year 1, this law firm is going to be like this. In year 5, this law firm is going to be, and all law firms are going to be similar. No. Because why? Because each law firm has a founder, has a managing partner who also comes from a certain background, or partners who are running or managing the firm who come from different backgrounds. So the different years does not mean the state of evolution of all law firms remain the same. So what we want to do is that we should be able to quickly understand and rebound back with the new services, innovate new products and services, to see when this whole scenario of legal law firms are changing very fast. I mean, they're really changing. I mean, in the past 10 years since we started it, in the past 12 years, the way law firms have grown, the way law firms, whether it's a mid-size, whether they're small law firms, there have been so many law firms that have come in suddenly into the whole gamut. So the way to run and understand the dynamics of how this whole industry is changing and to be able to cope up with it. So you need to keep innovating, keep thinking of, how you're going to do this. So I think that is the most important thing which I think legally really needs to do to be able to also survive themselves. Because see, no corporates and no companies are forever. So to survive, you have to keep on innovating, keep on making yourself useful, in the society, amongst the law firms. So that part is very important. And also, while I'm talking about, finding new products, this is very important, because you see, I've seen so many products, they last you for 5 years and there is no importance of that product. People have used it, people have, maybe gained out of it and all that, but it is not of the same value that it remains. So very important for legally, and in fact, I'll tell everybody in legally that they really need to do this, is to keep coming up with new things, new ideas, so I think that is what is very important. They need to build on that part to be able to. Now I'll leave it to Nipun to say what he wants to do. I think these are their next 10 years, not really mine. so they have to also decide what they want to do.
No, absolutely. We have to ensure that the dream you had kind of set for all of us, we do justice to ensure that remains sustainable and growing. If you ask me the vision of legally consulting, I would say that all what's happening in the domain of law firm management, be it the academic side, which we are currently not that great in, and we may be wanting to go to that side, be it leadership in terms of writing more books, being more going the authorship way, and also building communities. See, in the last 5 years, the number of professionals who are doing law firm management has increased huge, from a time where law firms were even hesitant to get a human resource development person on board, to today, seeing the trend of having CEOs, CFOs, even CIOs on board. So the law firm management profession has also gained a lot of traction. So going forward, because legally consulting has been the pioneer of it, we are also perhaps wanting to create a community, creating a forum which will comprise of all law firm managements across the country and from abroad, going the thought leadership way by writing books on cutting edge topics concerning law firm management. Today, law firm management is not just human resource development or administration or finance. It will include technology at some point in time, artificial intelligence at some point in time. So whatever is happening in the area of law firm management, legally consulting would not only be seen in those areas, but would also be leading by example. Just the way we were the first ones to set up this practice in the country, whatever happens in the field of law firm management on the cutting edge side, you will see legally consulting a part of it. You will see legally consulting contributing to the evolvement of that side. I think that is what the vision is. And that is where Bithika's vision also comes into the picture, that at every given point in any given point in time, we have to stay relevant. We cannot be oblivious of what developments are happening in the fraternity and go back by our traditional service offerings. The service offerings of legally consulting and the thought leadership of legally consulting will always be in tandem with the growth of the profession. And that is something that Bithika and I, and the entire team for that matter, will stay committed to.
Another interesting facet I wanted to cover here was, see, when we started 12 years back, there were no business support functions areas in the law firms. Like there were no HRs, there were no business development people, there were no IT guys, or there were no proper administration, or you can say they never made any business plans, or they didn't have any strategies for growth. They didn't know how they will grow by adding new practice areas, or how to do their partnership structuring and all that. So see, when we started this, I now see a huge difference. And sometimes I think we could be responsible for this, is the importance of all these functions have become very important. And also we find more and more law firms hiring these people in-house. So that also is a challenge for us. So how to remain, like he said, relevant or useful, or be over and above their caliber that they are bringing in as individual, who are hired in the law firm as their full-time employees. How is a consulting firm is going to, kind of be above all that and contribute to their growth.
Got it. So moving on, law firm management being a relatively new area in India as compared to the other ones available after studying law, do you see an increase in the interest shown by law students when it comes to joining the field of law firm management? And what do you look for in professionals or fresh law students, when fresh law graduates, when you're expanding your team?
Okay, so I'll take that one, and maybe Bithika can add to this. Yes, definitely the popularity, as Bithika also mentioned, that the whole awareness of hiring a business support function. We have seen the times where law firms would say that we don't even need an HR. To today's time, when there is a whole team of reading, knowledge management, HR, administration, business development, all of those are specified professionals who are being hired by law firms. So we have seen that shift. What has happened is, people like me who did not want to follow the conventional lawyering path, and You will not believe, almost on an everyday basis, I connect with 3 to 4 students who reach out to me saying that, we don't want to go the traditional lawyering way if there's something in it for us. And I said the industry has evolved today to such a great extent that there are niche jobs for, let's say, legal journalism or legal research, or for that matter, legal knowledge management, business development for law firms. So today, the options which law students have are enormous. And yes, if that's how we have been also able to grow our team with the expansion in work. We have, this year itself, we have rolled out PPOs to people. The team has also expanded hugely in Delhi and Bombay. So when we look out, what do we look out for people when they apply to us is one single point dedication, whether they are interested to follow law firm management as a career calling. Because what happens is, if you're doing it as a stopgap arrangement, you will always have the fear of missing out. What happens is, you spend some time with us, and at some point in time, you start comparing that, oh, my so-and-so peers who are into the traditional practice now are becoming an associate partner or partner. Do I stand to lose out? What's my footing? What's my growth? So first of all is, when you decide that law firm management is a field that you'll be venturing into, you need to understand that this is not the traditional lawyering way. You may grow much faster, you may grow much slower, depending on what is your commitment to law firm management is. The only question which I ask anyone who is shown an interest in law firm management is, first of all, give us what your understanding of law firm management is. Why have you chosen this path? How do you want to stay committed to it? And how do you ensure that there isn't going to be a fear of missing out when you grow into this profession? Because this being a niche field, there are very few people who are going to mentor you or who are going to train you to be excellent. All the team that currently is in legal consulting are almost people who are spanning with us for close to 5 years. Um, so people who have come to us have stayed with us for the work culture, have stayed with us for the fantastic exposure that they get working with us because of the number of law firms that we work with. So my 1 point kind of test for anyone who's wanting to get into law firm management with us is to see that the commitment to serve the profession, the commitment to help law firms grow, and the commitment to help lawyers augment their brand, their practice, their visibility has to be 100% clean. And if you can work for others and you can build your dreams while helping others build their dreams, I think that is the true test for me in terms of hiring men.
Right, got it. Moving on, what is the importance of law firm management, and why has the field of law firm management gained momentum in the last few years?
Yeah, so I again will start off on this. But see, the main reason for law firm management is that I'll tell you, see, if you look at our profession 30, 40, 50 years back, it was basically litigation. If you see, there were mostly litigators, who were, in this profession. And that was very important. I think early 1990s, when the markets opened up and corporate practice came into being, and when the corporate practice came into being, of course, litigation was continuing. I saw a lot of change in the way law firms started working, because when you are catering to corporates, you cannot be not also ignoring how corporates work. It's not possible. When you go as a litigator, it is mostly sometimes individual based. You go as a litigator, you fight a case or whatever you do. It's a different sort of practice. So I found that when this corporate law started, in the industry, I found that the way the law firm started working was a little bit differently, and they became more, acceptable to the fact that they will have to follow certain business practices. So though law is a profession, it's a profession. It's not really a business that way. But I saw that change in law firms. So it worked as it worked as businesses. So when you start looking at your practices, any practice of law as a business, then all aspects of business become important. So it importance whether you are maintaining timesheets, whether you are, your pitching the mandate is right, whether you're making a profit on that mandate or not. How do you determine that? Whether you are, putting in your, for example, partnership structuring, which we have done for many clients, is I found so many firms, I mean, at least 6-7 years back when I went to meet with them, they were just stagnating because their equity structures were not robust. And if your equity structures are not robust, your firm is never going to grow. So you have to have people who think differently for the firm, who have different acumen in them, different from just being a lawyer, just executing law. And those people became important because the firm had to use all those tactics to grow to the next level in terms of efficiency, in terms of effectiveness of how they do. Then also it was also about the turnaround time, what should be standardization, templates, the knowledge management, all these templates came in so people could, use them, and do them. And there are many other facts. I've just covered a very small aspect of what you wanted to know, but there are many other aspects as to why law firm management has become important in the past. I don't think so they can do away with it. I think it's very important for them to strategize, to grow, to be able to do it, because there is management, management aspects they need to apply to that firm. And I'll just leave Nipun to you.
Yeah, Nipun, would you like to add to this?
Yes, I think Bithika's covered most of the stuff here. But the importance of law firm management, I'll just sum it up in a nutshell. I think, as I mentioned earlier in the earlier part of this interaction, is that we have to ensure that because there are so many lives associated with running a successful practice, it's not just the financial health, or if I may sound very money oriented here, it's not just about making profits, but you also have to ensure, because if there's a good financial health, you pay your people well, you're also retaining them well, you're also helping them be a part of the growth story of the firm. So I think sound financial health is important for any firm's longevity and continuity and sustenance. Law firm management helps you think on those areas. It pushes you to think in that direction where you are addressing the entire checklist. You are seeing that how your people are recruited, retained, kept well, grown, and grow with the firm. How your facility management or premises management is done. How are you reaching out to your potential clients? How is your brand being perceived in the market? How are you forging more alliances or doing more collaborations in the field? How are you also ensuring that your own house is in order in terms of understanding between the partners? So when you talk about law firm management, it is checking all the check boxes, of running a practice with a sound financial health, and also running an efficient and operationally efficient practice. That is where law firm management comes into the picture, and that is what truly is the importance of having a sound law firm management in place.
Right. Very important and very interesting. So if I may just end this interview by asking you to describe a day in the life of a law firm management professional across positions, right from the highermost position to probably someone who is just getting into law firm management.
Little bit crazy, trying to be sane by the end of the day. Sorry guys, but I mean, this just came to me. And obviously Nipun can describe it more elaborately how the day go by.
I think if there's a word multitasking that was invented, it would be for law firm management professionals, because at any given point in time, you're battling several battles. There will be clients waiting on phone calls, one call waiting into another. Your group is sending constant updates on WhatsApp. So for all the clients, we have those small management WhatsApp groups. So we keep updating what's happening over there. At the same time, you're addressing to a lot of emails. Plus, Bithika and I are devoting a lot of our time into strategic guidance to the partners. So while the team is more on ground fighting the battles and implementing all what is being done. Bithika and I do meetings with the senior most people in the firm, building a strategy, chalking out a course of action for the team to implement. So implementation is taken care of by their law firm's own implementation team as well as from the team of Legal League Consulting. And mostly our interaction is with partners and managing partners and founders, devising the strategy. So if you ask me for a typical day, what it looks like, from the morning, the early morning calls, to addressing the emails, to ensuring that all the drafts go out, all the policies, all the circulars, all the written suggestions, all the advisory pieces go out in time with review from all the seniors, to ensuring that at any given point in time, one of us remains reachable to all the clients. We are constantly talking amongst the core group of Legal League Consulting as well as smaller groups with each client, so that we are very hands-on. If any client picks up the phone on any given point in time, Bithika and I would be updated as to what's happening, because to each client, see, we may be working with several clients, but for them, they look up to us as their only consultant. So at any given point in time, the mantra that LLC follows is we have to be hands-on with what's happening. So Bithika and I would be exactly aware at what stage each mandate is.
I think, yeah. So, and one last word is sometimes they also get that everybody is like now, like everybody wants their work done as soon as possible. So the turnaround time sometimes becomes a bit challenging for them when they are handling a few clients. Yeah.
Got it. All right. Thank you so much, Nipun and Bithika. Thank you for joining us for the interview series by Bar and Bench. It was a pleasure having both of you on board.
Thank you, Jelsyna, so much for your time. And
pleasure. Thank you so much.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel and click the bell icon.